best of Bryan and Brian.
That's why God made the radio. So tune right in everywhere you go.
Good morning, everybody. We are pleased to be joined by Mike Love from the legendary group The Beach Boys, who will be playing tonight out at Merriweather Post. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on WMAL.
Well, thank you. I don't know which Brian you are, but this is Mike Love. You're right, the Beach Boys, and we are, in fact, playing at Merriweather, and the turnout is looking good, but there's still some tickets left.
Well,
anyway.
I'm the Brian Wilson on our morning show, and I know you are very familiar with another Brian Wilson. All my life, people have walked up to me and say, hey, I loved your work on the Beach Boy. I said, well, I'm not that Beach Boy, but I get around.
You're probably a distant cousin or something.
Yeah, maybe we're related. That's right.
If we go back all the way back to Africa or something.
Let me ask you a question, because you've got this new album out, and
we do,
and it's getting great reviews, and it's doing tremendously well. I mean, it debuted really high when it came out, and I want to know what it was like to get the guys back together again in the studio.
Well, you're right. We do have a new album. It's called That's Why God Made the Radio. And believe it or not, it's the highest debut of any Beach Boy album on the Billboard charts. It comes in at number 3, which is pretty amazing. We're behind Adele and Alan Jackson, so we're in pretty good company. And it's pretty amazing to have that kind of reception in your 50th year that we're celebrating. And but when we played that song back in the studio, That's Why God Made the Radio, it sounded like 1965 again. Although a lot of time has passed since we've done something together on the new album in the studio, nothing seemed to be lost, because Brian goes to the piano, he structures these harmonies, we all do our parts and everything, and it just sounded wonderful. First of all, the premise, That's Why God Made the Radio, is a really uplifting kind of thing to sing, and to hear it back with all of us doing our thing together, and the Beach Boys, after 50 years having a hit, we're doing well in iTunes, and it's miraculous, actually. And we're, like I said, the highest debut of any of our albums ever, number 3 the first week on the Billboard 200 chart.
I read somewhere that you still record the harmonies in the round around a single microphone. Is that true?
Well, the other guys do. I sing a lot of the bass parts.
Right.
And so I don't have a lot of volume. I have resonance, but not volume. So with the Beach Boys, I'll usually be on one mic, and the rest of the guys are around the mic.
Yeah, I mean, you sing the bass lines, and I mean, listen, if folks love the Beach Boys music, you did like the Round, Round, Get Around. That was you.
Oh yeah. Sure.
And the most famous line of any Beach Boys song, which I'm picking up good. I mean, when I hear that is summertime to me.
Well, I came up with that part. My cousin Brian Wilson, he crafted an amazing track with the theremin and all. It was just an amazing, amazing track. And I said, when I first heard it, I said, wow, what are the people in Omaha going to think? And so I said, well, one thing they understand is boy-girl. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me excitations. Now, I'm not sure excitations is a word, but it rhymes with vibration.
Right. Well, you said that when you were in the studio, it sounded like 1965. Did it feel like 1965, too, for you guys?
In 65, I had like a 32-inch waist. Anyway, no, it felt really good to get back together, because, each one of us has our own strengths and our own thing to bring to the party. And one of the neat things about our concert is we're totally inclusive. Carl Wilson and Dennis Wilson have not been with us. They've both passed away. It was Brian, Dennis, and Carl Wilson, the Wilson brothers, and I'm the first cousin, Mike Love, and Al Jardine, a school friend of Brian's, and David Marks, a across-the-street neighbor. But we do back up Dennis Wilson, who sings Forever on the screen, and Carl Wilson sings God Only Knows. So it's really quite an emotional experience for us and for the audience, especially for those people who've known us for many years and been longtime fans. But it's also interesting to the younger fans to see history unfolding right there in the concert, from our earliest song, Surfing Safari, to Kokomo, and and even up to today with That's Why God Made the Radio. We do one other song from the CD, which is really neat. Love doing it. It's called Isn't It Time? And it's got a doo-wop influence, which I love.
So I'm wondering, I don't want to go down a delicate issue, but there's been some drama over the years, as there are in many groups. Did all that get put aside this time when you came back together?
That's been water over the bridge for a long time. Between the individual Beach Boys, it's all harmonious. I'm telling you, it's great. I mean, it's like what you hear in the studio is there on stage as well, and everything's cool. I mean, along the way, I didn't get credit for writing, even though I wrote every word of California Girls. I got 0 credit for many years. So the only way I could reestablish that was through a court process. So it appeared that I was, on the outs with Brian. That's not true. The relationship between us is great. And so it's very easy for us to go in the studio and or on stage and recreate those songs. It's just, natural for us.
All right, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you have a favorite song or a group of songs that you love to sing and you really like to perform?
Well, Brian says his favorite song is California Girls. And I have to say that's right up there at the top. But if you try to be objective about it, Good Vibrations was our biggest hit in the 60s until Kokomo came along in 1988 and attained #1. They say it's a bigger hit than even Good Vibrations. But in 1966, Good Vibrations went to #1 in Great Britain and in the United States. And on the basis of the strength of Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys were voted the #1 group in Great Britain, #2 being the Beatles, #3 the Stones. So that was pretty cool. Even in the midst of Beatlemania and the tremendous success that they've had, to have a #1 record in their homeland was pretty neat for us, I'll tell you.
Yeah. You were competitors with the Beatles for many years. I mean, it was a friendly competition between who could put out the best album. I mean, Pet Sounds drove the Beatles to do Sgt. Pepper's One Hears.
That's right. Revolver got Brian thinking about Pet Sounds. So, yeah, there was a lot of back and forth there and a lot of friendly rivalry or mutual admiration, really.
Do you stay in touch with Paul McCartney or Ringo by any chance? Do you ever see them or talk to them?
Yeah, every now and then we see those guys. I mean, I was in New York a couple of years ago for a David Lynch Foundation to raise money to teach Transcendental Meditation to kids in schools, and we all did interviews and sat down, and we joined Paul McCartney on stage for the encore at the Radio City Music Hall. So, yeah, we see each other. There's a lot of respect there and a lot of fondness for each other, I think, and he and Brian are very close. I mean, when Brian was touring England a while back, Paul McCartney followed him around for a few days,
That's cool. Now, was there ever a song that you guys, performed or that you put together that you thought, wow, this is such a great song, I love it, but it wasn't the commercial success that others were? I'm always interested in to hear what guys think in great bands of songs that they just love, but just never made it for whatever reason commercially and the success level.
Well, what that jogs in my memory is we had a manager at the time who we recorded a song called Friends, which is a waltz, and it's a beautiful, harmonious song.
Right.
I'm not saying it's my favorite song, but he said, this is going to be #1. Well, it was like number 48. Good Vibrations went to #1, but, there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, just like this Billboard chart position, our debut at #3 behind Adele and Alan Jackson. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
In 50 years, that's the highest debut we've ever had.
Mike Love from the legendary group The Beach Boys, who will be playing tonight out at Meriwether Post. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on WMAL. And have a great concert tonight out at Meriwether Post.
Well, thanks, Bryan and Brian. Thanks for having me on WMAL. We always listen to you guys when we're in the area.
When you talk to Brian Wilson, tell him you talk to the other Brian Wilson, okay?
I will.
Tell him
I
send my love. All right.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Here you go, the concert
tonight. Get around. That's Mike Love.
That's right.
The best of Bryan and Brian, now on 105.9 FM and AM 630, Washington's Mall, WMAL.
Driving up and down the same old. Get down, get down, get down, get down, get down.
The best of Bryan and Brian.
People were actually saying they saw a UFO on I-270 and around the Beltway yesterday. It turns out that the military was transporting a military drone through the area overnight. But apparently it was on a big truck, and it was backing up traffic, and a lot of people took pictures, and the Twitter sphere just blew up. Mm-hmm. I mean, apparently everybody was talking about it, right? And when people started reading about it on the Twitter sphere, they got a little concerned. And some of them apparently called 911.
Yes, sir. This is the 911 operator calling you back. Why did you hang up?
Oh, no, because you said you couldn't help me. I just asked
I didn't say I couldn't help you. I said I don't know what you're talking about. Are you seeing something flying in the sky?
No, I'm not saying nothing at all. I was on Twitter and I saw a UFO was spotted. They sent me pictures, and my little brother's in College Park, so I got a little worried. That's all.
Do you know where in College Park?
No, but I just hear it's a lot of traffic and it's backed up.
All right, stop and think about this for a second. This guy actually sees stuff on Twitter and decides to call 911.
He's concerned. He's a little worried.
Well, because his little brother is in College Park. That's why now. But he's in D.C. I mean, he's driving around here clearly, and there's somebody else in the car with him.
Because he's reading about a UFO
on Twitter,
and it's at College Park.
But what I don't understand is what did he think the 911 operator would do or could do?
I guess they wanted to send somebody over to College Park to check things out, make sure everything was all right.
I guess so. I guess it's somewhat understandable, although I would be calling police, but I guess you maybe call 911 to get the police. All right, more of this back and forth. But so he called 911, told the operator about the UFO, and they must have gotten disconnected. Either he hung up on her.
I'm wondering if they thought, what kind of crank call is this? And they sort of hung up on it again. And then they realized, we're getting a lot of calls about this. Maybe we ought to find out what's going on.
All right. Then the operator, she's trying to figure out exactly where the UFO is in College Park.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
What did you say it was near? What location in College Park? College Park is a large area.
Well, did they say what location it was near? College Park. College Park. Where? College Park's not that big. They said it was on the highway. I'm guessing Route 1.
And what intersection?
I can't see. No one has said anything about it.
And what is it near? Was it near the college or near the IKEA?
Was it near the college or near the IKEA? They haven't said anything. They just said it was a military drone being transported.
Oh, now they seem to know what it is.
Yeah, so he knew what it was at that point.
Traffic was backed up, but now they're beginning to put it together, but the questions continue.
Well, it could also be, IKEA was probably having it sold.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things you can find over at the IKEA, and maybe a UFO would not be unusual there.
And the IKEA is now selling drones that you can put together yourself.
That's right, with one of those little wrenches.
That's right. You don't even need screwdrivers. Apparently that's how they're built, because they just fall from the sky, too. So anyway, more questions from the 911 operator about exactly where this UFO is being trucked to.
Okay, but you got to give me a location so I can send someone out to look in that area.
I just need a location now. Hold on 1 second.
What does it look like?
It don't say anything like the information is just kind of like.
I thought you said he sent you a picture.
Yeah, I can send you a picture.
No, I said, what does it look like in the picture?
It looked like a UFO, to be honest with you. That's why I was kind of scared.
He's kind of scared. He's very worried about his brother over there at College Park because there's UFOs.
It would be funny if he said, have you ever seen a UFO? You ever seen a picture of a UFO? That's what it looks like. That's why I'm calling you. It's a UFO, all right?
And then the operator says, well, does it look like a Martian thing? What's going on?
Does it look like a spaceship?
Yeah, if it's possible that you can get on Twitter right now, it's trending UFO.
No, I can't get on Twitter.
Why not?
Well, I mean, I just got a little worried. I mean, it's okay if you can't help me, but I'll just keep texting him and make sure he's okay.
Okay, you can call us back if you have further information, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It's all right if you can't help me, but can't you get on Twitter? It's trending right now.
I think that the guy who called 911 was a very nice man, who was pleasant, was worried about his brother, was seeing the stuff on Twitter, was like, what the heck is going on? The 911 operator was a little rude at times, did you think?
I thought, yeah.
I mean, she was rude.
I think that they must have gotten a call earlier where some guy said, I hear there's a UFO in College Park, and they thought it was a crank call.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now they're beginning to figure out that, wait, we're hearing a lot about this. What is going on out there? And they started calling people back to find out what was going on.
I wonder
You hung up on me. I didn't hang up on you. You said you couldn't help me.
I wonder if if the military gave any heads up to local police, to the Maryland State Police, or to Montgomery County, PG County police.
I think they had to have, the state police probably knew about it because they had to have, escorts through the area.
Was it being escorted?
This was a wide load, yeah, and it was backing up traffic in some areas.
Wow. I must have just missed it. I wonder what it must have been around like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning because I didn't see it. I was hearing about it when I was driving into work, but I didn't actually see it. I would have been very cool to see that thing on the side of the road or moving around.
But isn't it funny how people react? And isn't it funny that now people are getting their information on the Twitter machine?
Well, it is a great source of news. There's no doubt about that. And I think the guy's funny, man. I haven't been on Twitter. Just get on Twitter.
Everybody's on Twitter. Why aren't you on Twitter, woman?
I'll send you a picture of
it. I can't get the picture. She can't even. Maybe she should be on Twitter.
Sam in Woodbridge, you're on with Bryan and Brian. Hey, Sam.
Oh, my gosh. If there is ever any proof that Maryland is drifting toward California, this is it. My God.
What's wrong? The guy was concerned about his little brother.
Well, why doesn't he call his little brother?
He can't get him up. He's asleep. He's probably been studying for exams. Something like that.
Oh, my gosh. This is hilarious. Now, see, this wouldn't happen in Virginia, so that keeps making my point. Come on down, folks.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I'm not going to just say, hey, Maryland is a wonderful place, but I've seen a lot of dumb people in Virginia. All right? There's a lot of dumb people everywhere in this country.
You can't fix stupid.
Yeah, I thought he was a nice guy. I thought the 911 operator was rude.
He's just trying to take care of his brother.
The best of Bryan and Brian, now on 105.9 FM and AM 630, Washington's Mall, WMAL. Best of Bryan and Brian.
Endlessly entertaining. That's the only way you can really describe what happens down at the district building these days. It's like watching a train wreck. You just can't avert your eyes sometimes. And yesterday was a perfect example of that, as there was a battle going on for who was going to be the council chair and then the council chair pro tem, which is sort of an important position.
Let's step back for a second and discuss why we need a new council chair.
That's right.
We need a new council chair because the former one resigned because, well, he's charged with fraud.
That's right.
Among other things, and there could be some other charges coming his way for Kwame Brown.
So we had Harry Thomas Jr., we had Kwame Brown.
Harry Thomas Jr. accused of basically stealing $350,000 from taxpayers, money that was earmarked for boys and girls.
And we got the mayor, who is under sort of a cloud of suspicion about running a Dirty Tricks campaign. And in this sterling environment of good governments, we have a fight yesterday in the district council chambers over who's going to be the new council chair and who's going to be the council chair pro tem. Now, Phil Mendelson is the guy that they chose, and I think there was not a lot of debate about this as the new council chair.
Although Vincent Orange did want to be the chairman, but he didn't quite have the votes to do it.
Well, he then wanted to be the pro tem.
Number two.
And there was a big fight over that. And during that fight, Ward 8 Councilman Marion Barry takes the microphone. Now, we apologize for the quality of this clip. This comes from the audio system that's run by the district government. And as I say, there aren't many things the district government does well. They don't run audio very well, that's for darn sure. But here's Marion Barry. I'm just going to let him speak for himself.
We're in real bad shape as a government. A lot of people in this town think that all of us are corrupt.
All of us.
All of us, really?
Mm-hmm.
This is serious. This is no game. The Congress is watching. The people are watching. The president is watching. Everybody's watching.
Everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. We can stick our heads in the sand if we want to. The majority of the community has lost confidence in this council.
I wonder why. Well, listen.
They think all of us
are
corrupt.
Yeah, and so why would anybody think that we're all corrupt? Could it be the fact that Marion Barry was at one point filmed smoking crack? He did time in prison for that. He's been convicted of misdemeanor marijuana possession. He has been prosecuted for failing to file his taxes 8 times in the course of 9 years. 8 times in the course of 9 years. Could that maybe have a little bit to do with why there's not much confidence in the district government? Well, David Catania, who has no tolerance whatsoever for Marion Barry, just couldn't stand by without making a comment.
Unfortunately, the city leadership has often failed the citizens of this city. It's a race to the bottom. The worst perpetrators, frankly, are sitting on this dais.
How about that? He went on to say a moment later that a member of the Finance and Revenue Committee is a convicted criminal, hasn't paid his taxes, and yet he's allowed to lecture others on ethics and vote on tax policy. David Catania.
So what do you want to do? Fill in the blank. Marion Barry lecturing the DC Council on ethics is like what?
Like what?
1-888-639-625. I mean, what kind of person who has been arrested numerous times and who has been under investigation and, quite frankly, is still kind of under investigation has the gumption to actually go on record and saying that the people have lost faith in us? They think all of us are corrupt.
And he says that we're the laughing stock of the nation. You think?
Real bad shape as a government. A lot of people in this town think that all of us are corrupt.
Can't believe that.
I just almost can't. I can't even tell this story without laughing out loud. It's so ridiculous to hear Marion Barry say these things.
Marion Barry lecturing other people in the D.C. Council
about ethics
and integrity and
right.
corruption is one of the funniest things you can actually hear.
It's just astonishing, and yet Marion Barry continues to get reelected, and as long as he wants to run, he'll get reelected. Although many people have said this may be his last term, he may not run for reelection again. He wants his son to fill his slot.
Marion Barry lecturing the D.C. Council on ethics is like the Wizards lecturing the NBA on how to win. There you have it.
Maria in Vienna, you're on with Bryan and Brian.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, I just want to fill in the blanks and say that would be like Jerry Sandusky conducting a babysitting seminar.
Oh, gosh.
That's very good, Maria. I like
Maria, you're on fire this morning.
I am. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Maria.
All right, keep them coming. Marion Barry lecturing the D.C. Council on ethics is like blank. Fill it in. And how does this guy have the stones to get up there? I mean, does he believe it? He must. He seriously. I mean, you have to psychoanalyze this guy.
He's in complete denial about his own record and his own reputation. Remember when he was on the air? We had him on when Chuck Brown passed away, and we really wanted to ask him a bunch of questions, but it just wasn't the day to do it, given we really wanted him to talk about Chuck Brown. So, but he thinks that he is the reason that the district is the great place that it is today.
I asked him. I said, somebody said this morning that D.C. was the Redskins and Chuck Brown, and he said, "Well, I'll put other people there." I said, "Would you put yourself there, Mr. Mayor?" Absolutely.
There'll be some others to be added, but
would you put your name up there too?
Absolutely, I would.
The best of Bryan and Brian now on 105.9 FM and AM 630, Washington's Mall, WMAL. Best of Bryan and Brian.
All right, I need to be educated. Clearly, I just don't get it. Can someone please explain to me the Wegmans phenomenon? Because I just am baffled by it. 1-888-639-625, 1-888-630-WMAL, and you can text feedback to 686-828. Started yesterday. Listen, I've been to a Wegmans before. I've been to a Wegmans maybe once or twice in my life, but I've seen a Wegmans, and they're very nice grocery stores, and there's a lot you can do in them. But I wasn't just blown away by, oh, my God, I can never leave this place, and there'll be another... I'll never be able to shop anywhere.
For you, it wasn't all that in a baggage.
No, it wasn't a out-of-body experience that apparently some people have shopping at Wegmans. Bill Thompson, in his newscast yesterday, was talking about the new Wegmans that's opening in Columbia.
Right.
And the fact that police are going to have to step up patrols to handle the traffic that they're expecting there. Now, granted, this is on a Father's Day Sunday morning where in Columbia they are really going to have extra police on hand to man the crosswalks, to direct traffic at the intersection, and that people who are not attending the opening of the Wegmans, they should use alternative travel routes to avoid delays, according to police. Once again, this is opening on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. What traffic is there at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning in Columbia? There's not a whole lot of traffic there. But apparently it's such a big deal that police are beefing up patrols. So please explain to me what it is about Wegmans that you have to get up early and drive there to make sure you're there for the opening of the Wegmans, and why it's just blown into this huge thing. And it's not meant to be a commercial for Wegmans, but I need to understand. 1-888-630-9625, 1-888-630-WMAL, and you can text feedback to 68683. We're getting one in my neighborhood in a couple of months. I think it's going to open in October. They're hiring a whole bunch of people. They're like 500 positions that they're hiring at the one in Odenton. And there were something like 3,000 applicants for that job. I mean, people want to work there, and people love it. So for whatever reasons, it's working. So why is it working? Well, why do people love it so much?
You know, I live in Germantown, and they're building one there, not far from where I live. And I know that everywhere you go, people are like, man, I can't wait till the Wegmans.
I know. That's all you hear. It's the buzz in the community.
What is it? I mean, I've never been to one, so I don't know. I just hear everybody saying, and, you know, for me, I got to tell you, I'm excited about it because it gives me an alternative to not go to that other grocery store. I won't use the name, but let's just call it Huge.
Right.
Huge. I mean, I have all kinds of issues with the Huge chain because I go there and I can't check out.
Right.
But that's a different matter. I won't go there.
All right. Cindy in Great Falls, you're on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning. Look, I'm born and raised in Rochester, New York, which is the home of Wegmans.
Okay.
Been going there all my life, and they have a huge, loyal following. Family-owned business, so it's not a big publicly traded company.
Right.
I've had circumstances where I've been in Wegmans up in Rochester looking for something, and a man came up to me and he said, "Hey, can I help you?" You know, he was with a group of businessmen, and I said what I was looking for, and he said, "Just a minute," and he called one of his co-workers over, and he said, "Could you please help this lady? She needs to find, you know, whatever it was." It was Danny Wegman.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing that they do. And if you are looking for something and they don't have it, they'll ask you about it. Well, what is it exactly? Why do you like it?
So
they'll bring it in the store.
High-end customer service.
Wow, what a concept.
High-end products as well. Also, high cost. I have noticed, and I have heard about that. All right, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. Fred in Dale City, you're on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Hey, good morning, you guys. Happy Father's Day to both of us.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hey, look, it was maybe a month or two ago. I was down with my daughter seeing my grandson. She said, "Dad, let's go shopping." So we went to the Wegmans down here in Prince William County. And, Dad, you have to see this place. I'd never been in one. I was surprised about the variety of stuff. I mean, you go where the vegetables are, you see vegetables from other countries. You go where the fruits are, that's not what you see in Giant and Safeway. The place is huge, but they were giving out free food in every aisle.
Yeah.
So it's a different experience, guys. If you've never tried it, you ought to try it at least once. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I've tried it, and I was impressed by it, but I just don't think that it's going to. I don't think it's going to change my life.
Well, I don't know. If there's free food in every aisle, it might change mine. I might never have to eat again. I'll just go to Wegmans.
Trust me, they make it up when you go to the checkout line when you see the bill at the end of the day. Betty in Vienna, you're on with Bryan and Brian. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning. Yes, I just want to probably reiterate the same thing. It's a great store, and once you start going there a couple times, it's almost like you're addicted to it. And I remember when they opened the first store in Ashburn, I talked to Danny Wegman, and I asked him about buying stock because the first one we went to was the one in Penn State. And he said no, because it was family-owned, they weren't offering it.
So we've had two...
Brian Wilson, if you want some kale, they have the best.
Well, you know, I can't remember the last time I had a good round of kale.
Well, you just go to Wegman and you get yourself some.
If you give me some fried okra, I'm all there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm used to shopping in Safeway, Giant, and I like each one. But I remember my daughter going through the line one day when they first opened in Fairfax, and she said, "Oh, I forgot something." And the guy would send somebody out to get what she wanted. Now, that's pretty good service.
We've had two people now who've called they've talked to a Wegman.
Talked to a Wegman. How about that?
Alan in Gaithersburg, you're on with Bryan and Brian. Good morning, Alan.
Hey, Bryan and Brian. How you all doing today?
Doing great.
I've shopped at the Wegmans in Frederick, and I thought it was a bunch of hype. But I got to tell you, it's the real thing. They give incredible customer service. They are the very, very best. And I'm going to tell you, Sunday morning, people will be camped out 24 hours in advance. There'll be 1,000 people by the time that store opens.
Unbelievable.
Why? For what reason?
It's a cult. They love it. You know, it's the best. It's like a grocery store on steroids.
Yeah, it's a grocery store, though. That's what I can't wrap my head around. It's a grocery store. It's the United States of America. We're not Cubans and we can't get food.
Now, hey,
I mean, come on.
Alan,
it's the Disney World of grocery stores.
Let me ask you,
That's
Alan.
a good analogy.
At a Wegmans, will there actually be someone to check me out?
Oh, yes.
Will I have to deal with those self-serve scanners?
They have just started experimenting with a few of those, but they'll have 30 registers there for you.
Wow.
Customer service
is big. There's no doubt.
And also, somebody mentioned about the prices. The prices are lower than Costco.
Okay, lower.
They've frozen prices on almost 400 items.
Okay.
For the rest of the year, and I got to tell you, my grocery bill was lower than if I got a Costco or Walmart.
Really?
Wow.
All right. Maybe it was just the one day that we went when we actually went to Wegmans, but I was kind of looking at the receipt and going, "Wow, that's a lot of money."
Maybe you just bought a lot.
Yeah,
of stuff.
maybe we did. Maybe we bought a lot of high-end stuff. One more, Andrea in Dale City. Andrea, you're on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. Hey, Andrea.
Hey, if I can't find it at Wegmans, I pretty much don't go there. I've decided I don't need it because I love my Wegmans so much. The thing that gets me about it is their respect for people with disabilities. My mom is handicapped. She cannot do for herself very much. When she goes to other grocery stores, she can't get help. She can't get the things that she needs. At the Wegmans in Woodbridge, she can call the customer service desk. They will send somebody out with one of the little rolly carts for when she can't walk.
Wow. All right, so great customer service, and they usually rank in like the top 10 on places where you want to work. Employee satisfaction as well. And I know that they weed out a lot of bad people.
The best of Bryan and Brian, now on 105.9 FM and AM 630, Washington's Mall, WMAL. Best of Bryan and Brian.
Have you noticed how on this issue of what the president said on Friday that the lamestream media has sort of grown a spine all of a sudden? They're actually asking on occasion really hard questions, like listen to this exchange following the president's statement that the private sector is doing fine between Candy Crowley of CNN and David Axelrod, Obama's campaign manager.
Let's start out with a really simple yes or no. Do you agree with the president that the private sector is doing fine?
I agree with the president who called the press conference on Friday to say that we need to take a series of very urgent steps to accelerate job creation in this country because we have storm clouds rolling in from Europe. So, Candy, the press conference was called to press for hiring tax credit for small businesses.
What? Okay, so that's why. But you didn't answer the question there,
The bottom line, is the private sector doing fine?
The private sector, we need to accelerate job creation in the private sector. One of the ways that we can do that is putting teachers and firefighters and police back to work because those are good middle-class jobs.
That's a public sector.
That'll help accelerate, but that'll help accelerate the recovery. The small business tax cut will help the private sector.
Right, but the question still remains.
I just want to know whether the administration, whether you believe that the private sector is doing fine.
I believe we need. I believe it's certainly doing better than the public sector. 4.3 million jobs created in the last 27 months. We need to accelerate that, Candy, and we all agree on that. The question is how we do it.
Yes, we all agree on that, apparently.
David Axelrod doing the chicken dance on CNN.
The best of Bryan and Brian.
It's time for the occasional feature we do here on Bryan and Brian, the Culture Corner. Yes, in case you're not aware, the Culture Corner is that place where news and poetry intersect, where we dissect the news of the day through rhyme. And today, making his first appearance in the Culture Corner, the President of the United States is joining us. Mr. President, we want to practice your line. Are you ready? You know your line? Just try it.
The private sector is doing fine.
That's great, Mr. President. Excellent. So when I cue you, Mr. President, you deliver that line. Here we go. Net worth dropping like a rock. No value left in all our stock. Real estate is in decline, but
the private sector is doing fine.
No work for those who want a job. It's enough to make you cry and sob. Folks in the unemployment line, but
the private sector is doing fine.
$100 to fill your tank. Checks are bouncing at the bank. Make late payments, hawk the ring. I wonder what Dad's watch might bring. On beans and weenies we will dine, but hey,
the private sector is doing fine.
Tax increases on the way. Bills and bills we cannot pay. Food stamps living hand to mouth while the economy is going south. Tell me again, what is the sign that the
private sector is doing fine?
If this is fine, I have to say, I hope we never have a real bad day. It might look fine from your house of white, but survival's become a full-time fight. Please don't hand us another line or tell us how.
The private sector is doing fine.
Thank you, Mr. President. A great job there. And thus ends another edition of the Culture Corner.
The private sector is doing fine.
Well done. Well, bravo.
Thank you very much.
I think you should take this on the road, you know? I mean, you and the president get on one of those buses, you know? Nice social, Secret Service around you.
B&B. Brian, and Barack.
How about that?
There you go.
In the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings, whatever. Just sitting around doing some poetry.
Yeah.
You know?
A little slam poetry. That'd be... That's great.
That's right.
The best of Bryan and Brian. Now on 105.9 FM and AM 630. Washington's Mall. WMAL.